Hello. I thought I would go over some of these questions I get on my channel here, and I thought I'd answer some of them, and we'll take it from there. Because I like, thank you for, I like the comments I get. I enjoy reading them. I try to answer these comments if I can. And sometimes it takes a little time for me to get there, but I do it. But I also wanted to mention now we have almost 18,000 subscribers here. And it's getting a little out of hand. So try to refrain from subscribing. You get that little button over there in the corner to subscribe. If you gotta subscribe, go ahead, but you don't have to try not to subscribe because it's just too much. I mean, 6, 7 people subscribe, that's one thing, but 18,000 is a lot of people. And so if try to refrain from doing that. So anyway, some of these questions I wanted to talk about here. And one of the questions was about the secrets of the mystery schools. I was talking about mystery schools, the Golden Dawn, Rosicrucians, and the Theosophical Society was never a mystery school. They didn't. I don't think they cared if you talked about the teachings they had there. But a lot of the other ones from the time that at that time, and there was a lot of schools that just didn't make it. I'm reading a book right now, The History of the Occult Tarot. From basically, we're talking about 1870 to 1970. So it goes into Mathers and Crowley and Waite. And Crowley was a wingnut, by the way, which a lot of you already knew that. But yeah, he's a Looney Tune. But I think that I think that most of them were. Anyway, so the reason for them, they had a lot of lawsuits, a lot of legality problems. And so I think with the mystery school, the vow, you had to have a vow to secrecy. If you were to join this thing, you had to have a vow of secrecy. And I think the reason they did that was not so much for the members, but you get a group of people who were to start this organization, like the Golden Dawn. So let's say there's a half a dozen of you that are going to do this. You're going to start this thing up. Well, once you know the approach of what you're doing, what we're going to talk about, how we're going to teach, and you have it all set into place, now one of those people decide, you know what, screw you, I'm going to start my own mystery school, take the same exact information and call it something different. So this vow to secrecy made it legal where it was very difficult for you to do that. I mean, and that's what they were doing. If I'm reading that book, there was a lot of them who did that. I think Crowley did it. Matthews did it. They all had their own little way, their own little thing they wanted to change about things. And so they would do that. And so even though they were a vow of secrecy, they still did it anyway. So you have something in place and you're learning all this, there's a teaching in place. Now I'm going to take all this and start my own school. Well, that made it harder to do. So that's your reason for the secrecy. So I'm going to have a vow of secrecy in here too. But if you don't subscribe, I'll never know you were here. So that's, again, another reason not to subscribe. Otherwise, people that subscribe, I'm going to have to set up a form I'll send you, and you'll have to fill it out. It'll be a vow of secrecy, and you can't take any of this stuff and tell anybody else about it in the world. So it's just between you and me. Secret. Anyway, that's why I think they had that in place, and they all did it. So that's what that was about, I think. Another question I had here is, well, it was basically there's 2 questions. I said, I talk about the way I teach the tarot I keep the suits are common, whether it's a wand, a sword, a spade, a pentacle, or a cup. Whatever the numerical rank is of the card is what I use for the meaning. And the suit doesn't make any difference to me. So there's 4 of each suit, the same meaning for all aces, the same meaning for all knights, the same meaning for all sevens with the minor arcana. And somebody said to me, well, why did they bother making these suits then, if that was the case? Why did they take the time to do this? And the reason I think they did that is because originally the cards were not used for divination. The cards were a game. They were used to play games. And so the suit worked then for that. But as far as divination goes, you still have millions of different combinations and variables going if you just use 14 keyword meanings for the minor arcana instead of 56 meanings. And that's what you end up with if you don't use the suit. And yeah, you could have four fours come up, let's say. Well, depending on, and that's another question. What happens if you get, let's say all the aces come up in the reading, all 4 of them came up. How would you read that if they're all the same meaning? Well, depending on where they're placed in the card spread is what determines the meaning of the card, how it's used, what it's about. And you could have the same keyword meaning used in a lot of different ways. It could be a talent you have. It could be something you need to look for. It could be you already have some of that in place, but you need to get more. Or you could just look at the whole thing and say, well, there's 4 aces here in this spread. It's key to really look at aces themselves and say, okay, new beginnings, new ideas. That's what this is all about. Because it's coming up over and over again. So it all depends on, it could also be something else. Maybe you have something there that's defined as for you. It could also be defined as another person. So something another person has or going through the same situation that you're involved with. It might be more than just one of you. It might be something you already have, but you need to improve on. Or it might show that you might lose this energy in another part of the reading if you're not careful. So it could be telling a story of what that one key word is as it travels through the card spread. And it's scribbled all over my notes. So that's how I see that. As far as the 4 suits, again, they were used like regular playing cards before. The tarot was before it was ever divination. Somebody asked, can you use playing cards for reading? And yes, you can. I know that because I know readers that do it. They're just as good as a tarot reader. And my wife, Linda, she'll be here tomorrow on our Zoom meeting. She's a psychic. But if she does throw cards on the table, she uses playing cards. And she gets just as many ideas as I can with a deck of 78 tarot cards. She can get just as many with 52 playing cards. So yeah, you can use them. If you know how to what the meanings are, if you assign meanings to those cards, of course you can use them. Somebody asked me, what if you're not using a card spread? How can these meanings work? Well, I use keyword meanings. My books have traditional meanings in there, but I always put the keyword meanings that I like to use too. It gives you the option of using either one. If you're not using a card spread, this person thought maybe it might be a little harder if you're using keywords if you don't use a card spread and you're using keyword meanings. No matter what you want to do with it, with the cards, if you're going to read cards, you are going to be looking at different aspects of the question. Now you can that's what card spread positions are. They're different aspects of the question. So if you're looking into more than one aspect of the question, you're using positions. Whether you want to call them positions or not, your positions are aspects of the question. So what about this? What about that? What about that? What about this? It becomes a card spread. So it's kind of hard not to look at a question without breaking it apart into different positions anyway. And that's what you're doing with a card spread. Somebody asked here an interesting question. Can artificial intelligence take over or do what a card reader does? I don't know. I'm not intelligent enough. I can't answer that. I don't think we know where we're going with that. I know artificial intelligence can use the same application and they could come up with information faster than the human mind can. So artificial intelligence is going to take an issue and it's going to look at all this other stuff that has nothing to do with it, but I can look for similarities of other things that it's going to conceptually blend different things in there to see what kind of ideas it gets. So artificial intelligence does use conceptual blending. So yeah, I can come up with some original ideas. But that's a good question because do card readers, so card readers give out information. And artificial intelligence does that too. Card readers also get psychic insight. I don't think artificial intelligence can do that. But that insight, that psychic insight, is not the tool of the tarot cards is bringing that out in you. But they're not necessary. Tarot cards are not necessary to get psychic awareness in something. It's a tool that helps enhance the ability to bring that out. But really, it has nothing to do with tarot cards. Outside of the facts, tarot cards can be used to help bring it out. But if you're able to tap into your psychic awareness, you can do it without tarot cards. And if you don't know how to do it, well, a tarot reading can help you do that. By going through the motions of a tarot reading, sometimes it'll click. People have asked me about my conversations with the tarot, which is the last chapter in 3 of my books, where some of the major arcanas come and visit me and we have a heart-to-heart talk. It was just for entertainment, some fun to put in there. And there's usually some type of a little insight that card would now has a personification to it, a person coming out in that card, a personality put into that card. There's some type of thing or idea, message that the card will give me that or show because of its energy. So the energy of that card reflects into the conversation. And I've done that with, if you read one of my books and it's in there, I have it in Genius of the Tarot, the last chapter. About 5 of the cards come and visit me. Essential Tarot, the last chapter again, conversations. Again, about 5 of the cards come and major arcana come and visit me. And Radical Tarot, the last chapter, conversations. I have about 15 of the major arcana so far written now with that. None of them are duplicated in those 3 books. They're all different. So I'm in the process right now, and people like it. I'm in the process right now of writing out the last 6 or 7, whatever's left. I'm not too sure if I have 15 or 16 done. I'm gonna write out all of them, get the last of them done, and I'm gonna put them all from all those books, from those 3, the reprints of them, along with these last remaining major arcana, into one book just called Conversations with Tarot. And that's all it's going to be, is these conversations that I had put with these tarot cards. And it was just something I decided to do. It was fun to write, and it's fun to read. So if you have one book right now, and it has the last chapter has those conversations in there, there's two other books right now that have the same thing in the back chapter. Genius, Essential, and Radical all have them. And I'm doing the last of what remains of the major arcana. And I'm going to put it all in one book, just called Conversations with Tarot. So these are some of the things that I was, asked about. And I just thought I'm having our YouTube meeting tomorrow, our Zoom meeting tomorrow. Today's the Monday, the 12th. Tomorrow's the 13th. 12 o'clock Chicago time. And I thought I'd put this out here before that came out. Other than that, as far as some of the people's comments about like meanings of the cards, and I think that I've answered those in other YouTubes in the specific things they were talking about. So I'm not going to really go into that. Anyway, I thought I would throw this together here. Again, one other thing is people talk about the evil, the negative energy. Is it safe? Do I have to protect myself in any way with the tarot? And as far as I'm concerned, no, there's nothing to worry about. So you'll be safe. Anyway, I thought I'd put this together and just answer those questions. Thanks again for watching. Remember, don't subscribe. Keep throwing cards. We'll talk soon. Bye.